Hello everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. Just going on to Bitcoin, being the CoinsKid cruise. So fortunately, Bitcoin has not lost any structure in this correction it's gone through. It's been a nasty correction, but I think what we've got here is a classic finish to the correction that started in July, and I think what we've got is a bump and run. And I relayed this to yourselves in another video, and obviously to the CoinsKid crew as well, as and when this was developing. I actually posted the setup round about here, looking for a final fifth wave down, a bump and run, buy zone, and then come back up. So it looks as though we may have a 1-2-1-2 setup for Bitcoin. Now, the last time we saw this 1-2-1-2 setup off a previous bump and run pattern, it was a beautiful trade. We kept moving the stops up. Okay, so currently my stops right now, if this is a 1-2-1-2 setup, are on this low. So we're on that low. I moved them up, and you can clearly see, right now, if Bitcoin does roll over and loses that low, it loses the 1-2-1-2 setup, which we've traded before from a previous bump and run, which is way back when I think it was end of summer 2023 for anyone that pays attention. So basically I'm looking at 1-2, waterfall 3, ABC 4, 1-2, 3, 4, 5 to finish a 5-wave move off of a correction that we've been in since July here for Bitcoin. So I think we've got an A, B, C, D, E correction that's finished as a potential scenario. And what I'm looking at is basically a broadening wedge from left to right. Now, the reason I think that that's the top and not the top from here, which is what a lot of people are looking at, is the confluence of XRP, and I've shown you this along the way, and this is why I've been relatively bearish on Bitcoin and XRP as well, because like I said to you, I think we're in a correction from July. Okay, we ramped up into July from April of this year, which is beautiful buy zone for anyone paying attention for XRP, Ethereum and Bitcoin. We've come up in this beautiful move, okay, into July, and we've got this overlapping 3-wave corrective move, and then we finished the wave off in a 5-wave move. So we potentially complete the correction and everyone's flipped bear. But if you take a look, we've got a beautiful broadening wedge for Bitcoin that's doing something like that. Okay, so from left to right, we've got an A into a B into a C into a D, and then we've completed the correction in the final wave, which is a 5-wave move, okay, to the downside. So if my analysis is correct, we've got some kind of 1-2-1-2 setup here. So move your stops from there to there, okay, to negate this trade. So if this turns around, we've got an explosive third wave here. Now, we've experienced this before for Bitcoin off a bump and run pattern. And obviously I could be completely wrong, and this is technical analysis. Nothing I say is financial advice. This is just me, basically drawing lines and squiggly lines on charts. Again, I'm not got a crystal ball. I can't see into the future. It is what it is. If it breaks down, it's unfortunate, but I'm looking at potential setup because I've traded this before. Okay, 1-2-1-2 breakout. Oh no, it's going to zero. Hold this low. You're making high lows, and it turns around for no reason whatsoever. Okay, we traded this way back in 2023. If I move to the left on the 4-hourly time frame, I think we had a beautiful expanded flat correction, didn't we? Just here it was. Very, very similar setup. Let me go through this with you, okay? So looking at Bitcoin way back when in 2023, like I said to you at the time, for anyone paying attention, I think we've got an ABC here. I think this is an A into a B, and this was a C, and it was just an irregular correction after a 5-wave move up from the lows in 2022. So we come up into the spring, we went sideways. Everyone flips incredibly bearish. I remember this. Everyone was, saying bear market and things like that, but we were just getting started. And from here, we came down in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup. And like I've taught you, you see 5 waves to the downside, especially if you see a big waterfall like that, it always represents a third wave, which is what I think we may have seen in this correction, in mid-October. So from there, we broke out, we got the 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we went vertical in a third wave. I remember all the pessimism and naysayers at this particular time frame as well. But one thing we kept doing to negate the setup and the trade, which is what we're doing right now, we just kept moving our stops up to the previous pivot low to negate the trade. So it was a 1-2-1-2, fantastic breakout to the upside for Bitcoin, which we traded, and this wave that came up, I did say to you, I anticipated to make all-time highs, and it did exactly that. So if we take a look at this current time frame for Bitcoin, we have something quite similar, but not exactly the same, obviously, but like I've taught you, the waterfall, okay, always represents a third wave. So we've seen this huge waterfall. We came up in an ABC to represent the 4, and then we've seen the final fifth to the downside. So we've got some kind of 1 into a 2, 1 into a 2. If we can hold this pivot low right now, $106,489, this low, whatever is on your exchange on the 22nd of October, then okay, you've got a nice little 1-2-1-2 setup where Bitcoin continues the journey to the upside. So I can't flip too bearish on Bitcoin just yet because, this is an anticipated correction, because from here you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup. From there, 5 waves up, expect a correction. So you've gone sideways, and in the process, nothing here is looked overly impulsive. This is why I think we've been creating this broadening wedge since this particular time frame. A lot of people are looking at this as some kind of top, but this is not an impulsive move for me. This is a corrective move. And the confluence, like I've taught you, is really simple. It's XRP chart, and this is why I've been micro bearish on XRP, and I was looking for this, capitulation drop towards the end of the correction, which we've got, which is basically coming to this buy zone here, got candle back test. So technically, looking at the blue line, you're looking at some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup for XRP. Okay, so we could be in the last sort of move here for XRP going forward. So I wish I had the most luck. Nothing I say is financial advice, but right now Bitcoin could be in a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup. As we trace into this low, if it holds it, fantastic, and then we break bull. So there may be some kind of catalyst for this big vertical. I don't know what, FMOC meeting or whatever, I don't know, but possibly there's some kind of catalyst for a big vertical third wave. Everyone will say we got lucky, but I'm just relaying the opportunity to you. Okay, so if we take a look at this level right now, if Bitcoin is putting a little impulsive move here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've got this ABC coming back, we need to zoom in and find 5 waves in this leg to the downside. So if we look at the 1 hour time frame right now, so looking at Bitcoin on the 1 hour time frame, I think what we may have here is a couple of reversal patterns within a bigger, correction at the end of the correction. And again, I'm looking for the invalidation. I've already relayed this to the CoinsKid crew. This is basically the invalidation of the correction being in. Obviously, where you basically came down. When was that? The 17th of October. You come down at roughly 103.538, is it, on this 587 on this particular chart. So again, what I'm doing, I'm moving my stops up because I'm trying to, minimize my risk here. So basically, if I've got the 1, 2, 1, 2 set up, this will be the next stop loss. Basically, from this low, move your stop up. This is what we did in 2023 after a bump and run played out for us as well. We just kept moving our stops up. So I wish I had most luck with this particular trade, but from here right now, I think we've come up and we're retracing to this low. Okay, really simple. We lose that low, obviously you're coming down and you're looking at this move here being lost, and we're looking at a minimal buyback of $882. Okay, and obviously this negates this beautiful bump and run and this, basically a 5-wave counter, which is the end of the correction in theory for me. Okay, where we've got this, huge broadening wedge which we've been in since July. I think this is all bull traps. Nothing's impulsive. It's all overlapping zigzaggy corrective waves. I think what we've potentially done right towards the end, and obviously the confluence in the crystal ball as well, which have been showing you for many months, is we bottom in mid-October, and this has been on my radar for a very long time. Some kind of bear trap or shakeout in the market before reversal and continuation of this bull market for Bitcoin, where we see the characteristics of the cycle top, which we've not seen yet. And I'll go through that again with you in today's video, but I've been going on about that for so long until I'm blue in the face that we've just not seen it in this cycle. This is why I do think potentially we see it, whether or not it's in the next impulsive move to the upside or whatever. This is where I exit all my positions basically going forward. So really simple. What we may have seen here is an impulsive move into this leg here, and right now we're retracing that move in a corrective wave in something called an ABC zigzag correction. So a 3-wave move down, a 3-wave move back up, and right now we've got a 1, 2, waterfall 3, again lost that support, and a double top drop where we've turned this resistance right now. So we're flagging back up. So this may be a wave 4, ABC wave 4, running to that resistance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down into this cluster of support just there. This basically God candle back test on the 0.5 fib at 111.329. So this trade is a potential trade going forward. Okay, over the next few weeks leading into November, this could be a nice little long trade for yourselves with a very minimal stop loss. Okay, so from this here, put bids on 111.329. Okay, because this could be an explosive third wave that comes up into the technical target. I think it's around about 130k at the moment off this beautiful inverse head and shoulders pattern. So this is just pattern trading, and again, nothing I say is financial advice, but it's a little trade that I'm providing for you. And again, you don't have to do this trade, you don't have to follow this trade or whatever. This is just a little trade setup and very minimal risk trade on Bitcoin against a herd mentality. What I'll be looking to do, if you're not already involved, is basically the 1-2-1-2 negation is this stop loss just there, the 1 fib, 106.529. So you would bid at 111.329 for Bitcoin, and you would put your stop down here to negate the trade. So it's basically a 4.24% loss for a potential 17% gain. Okay, and this is trading range, and this is why don't go in with all your life savings. Don't be an over leveraged degen. But if we've got the same setup that we did last time, 1-2-1-2, this should retrace, hold support, and turn around, and it's an explosive move. So is there any kind of pattern that is leading to this move? Well, if we take a look, we've got a potential inverse and shoulders pattern here for Bitcoin, where we're forging the right shoulder right now. So you've had your left shoulder, your head, and right now you're creating the right shoulder, essentially some kind of ascending triangle that looks like that. Okay, so I wish them most luck going forward. Nothing I say is financial advice, but for a very minimal risk trade right now, a 4% loss for a potential 17% gain, you could be looking at a nice little inverse head and shoulders pattern, and obviously a beautiful bump and run to, you know, complete a correction right there, which has been my primary. And you will be looking at a target of roughly from there to there. You'll be looking at roughly 130k into the technical target of an inverse head and shoulders pattern. So this is just basic trading. Again, nothing I say is financial advice. If you do follow this trade, don't be an over leveraged degen, don't go with your life savings, and obviously apply the stop loss, because that negates the trade. The trade is really simple. If we've got this bump and run 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 1 2, then we can't afford to lose this pivot low, okay, for Bitcoin at roughly 106.529. This is where my stops are right now for you. Okay, so if you want to do this trade, you can trade this on Bybit, BitGet. It's entirely up to you. The links are in the video description. If you do follow the trade, don't be an over leveraged degen, don't go with life savings. So if you do use leverage, I would not recommend anything over 10x. You know, personally, I use 5x, sometimes I use 2x. If I think the stop's really tight, you know, I won't use over leverage. But you know, going forward, this is a simple negation of the trade. Is that stop loss just there, 106.529? And this is the same story I was relaying in late 2023. That trade played out for us against all odds and expectations. Will this trade play out for us again? Hopefully. It'd be absolutely amazing if it does, because everyone's incredibly bearish, and I don't think anyone can see this coming. So looking at Bitcoin on the 5-day, the characteristic at the top is really simple, and it's something we've not seen so far. Okay, we've not seen it on this peak, haven't seen it on that peak, nor this peak, nor this peak. And it's basically really simple. It's called alt season, okay, and we've not seen it. Whether or not it happens again, I honestly don't know. I can't see into the future. A lot of people feel like it won't happen, which to me means it will happen, because things happen when people don't expect them to happen, okay? And obviously, if we do start to see the alt season where Bitcoin, you know, breaks out to the upside and enters price discovery once more, I think we've got an increased probability this end of the cycle if we do see this over the next few months, leaning towards a year end and potentially Q1. So again, I wish I had most luck, but what I'm looking for is more structural data in this chart to tell us, okay, we've got a macro correction on our hands. And one thing we keep doing is really simple. Since breaking above, you know, we've been trading back into the BMS, and currently we're still trading into that for the BMS, which is basically a bull market support band. So if we take a look in this particular cycle, you know, way back when, look at this, you break out, holding support, go mental, you go absolutely vertical there in late 2017, you break down, you make the lower high, and then you lose in the BMS. At this point, once you close below the BMS, expect to see something like this, okay? So again, you're coming up, you're breaking above, fantastic, you're coming down, you're losing the BMS, you come up, make your lower high, boom, you get your big capitulation drop, which was that and that. And again, if you start to look to the right, you're coming up, and this is why the BMS is really important. You're coming up, you're trending up, you're holding the BMS, you're going vertical, you escape it, you come back down, you make your lower high, you drop into the BMS, then you come back out and make some kind of bull trap, and I'm showing the confluence of that particular bull trap, and then you come back down, you're losing the BMS, and then boom, expect some kind of big sort of drop in the chart. So, you know, going forward, I think the BMS is really important, and if you take a look, we're breaking out, back test, breaking out, back test, breaking out, back test, breaking out, back test. And right now we may have some kind of broadening wedge from this point on the 5-day, you know, where you're respecting this neckline, where you've got an A, B, C, D, E, and everyone's flipping bear, but you're not breaking below the BMS, you know. So if we was to break below the BMS, like we did there, you know, like we did here, and like we did here, then expect some kind of, you know, big capitulation drop, which is where I'll be buying a lot of Bitcoin. But at the moment, I'm just relaying to you, you know, what we keep doing is breaking out back test, back test, back test, back test, and it's getting really tight. So if Bitcoin can hold the support of this potential ABCDE broadening wedge, and we've seen this completion of the wedge since July, then, you know, this is about to turn around and go vertical and continue. So at some point, what I'm looking for is the characteristics of the cycle top, which tells me the top's in. So this is why I don't necessarily think the cycle top's in, and I think we could see another leg here for Bitcoin. So what is the leg? So from the bottom to the top, I'm looking at a 1.618. I've been looking at this with you for a very long time. So if you take a look, there's lots of confluence. You know, the fact that what we keep doing is running into these fibs and having a correction. We had a correction of 1.272. We had a correction of 1.414. We've got this lovely little broadening wedge. Everyone's got incredibly bearish, but, you know, we're not creating bearish market structure. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. We've not broken down below the BMS to, you know, jump up and down and say bear market. So just here, we may have seen the completion of the correction, some kind of final shakeout before the big breakout to the 1.618, where I do think if we start to see that, we are beginning to push our luck with Bitcoin because of the time that, you know, we've been in this whopping up trend for Bitcoin. So that is currently my primary, you know, hold this support breakout, coming to the 1.618, fantastic. At that point, If we see something like what we saw there, okay, at this particular time frame where, you know, Bitcoin ramps up into the 1.618, which is roughly 158k, we see something like what we saw there, and equally here, then I'm going to jump up and down and tell you the tops in, because it's really simple. From this point here, you break down, you make your lower high, and you drop. You break down, you make your lower high, and you drop. But something happens there between Bitcoin and another chart, which is simply not happening in all of this upcycle that we've experienced at Bitcoin. So just go to the plus symbol on TradingView, drop in new price to scale. You can clearly see it's really simple to see. 5-day time frame. You come down, you make the same lower high. So total 2 is basically crypto excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So it's altcoins essentially. So you got your high, you got your high. You come down, you break out. You come down, you break out. That's your alt season right there. That's the characteristic at the top between Bitcoin and the rotation into altcoins. So we go to the right. This is exactly what happened just there as well. You come down, you make your lower high for Bitcoin, but total 2 is breaking out. If we go to the right, we've simply not seen it in any peak, even this peak, we've not seen it for Bitcoin where total 2 is breaking out and Bitcoin's not. So this is why I don't necessarily think that the cycle tops in. We've not seen that rotation, and obviously equally the waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance if you've been paying attention. So we may have had some kind of broadening wedge here into the top of the BMS, dipped a toe in it for a quick minute, and we may be looking for an impulsive move to the upside. So whichever most look going forward with that particular trade at the potential end of the correction. But obviously if I'm wrong, you'll see it roll over, you'll see it lose a BMS, and we'll roll into a massive crash and correction where we'll just buy, you know, more Bitcoin going forward. I'll keep you updated in the Discord with that trade. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. Take care everyone. Back to an update on Bitcoin. Bye bye.